Honor, for allowing me to speak today. I would like to tell you a little bit about my son. I'm sorry, my name is Laurie White, mother of James White. I would like to tell you a little bit about my son, James White. We called him Kevin. He was a fun person to be around. He was a family jokester. To give you examples of his character, when he was 17, he talked his dad and myself into signing for him to join the National Guard. All his life he dreamed of the military. He used to fold his clothes military style when he was young. He would just say, "Mama, this is how you fold a towel." I said, "I'm not military. If you want them that way, you fold them that way." He also loved the law enforcement. In 2005, the 155th was sent to Iraq. On May 17th of 2005, his record ran over an IED. Kevin had shrapnel on his face. His lungs were burnt, and his knee was blown open from the inside. And he refused to come home. He wasn't leaving anybody behind. He felt like he needed to stay with them. When Kevin came home, he also received a Purple Heart for his injuries. When Kevin came home in December of 2005, he had law enforcement on his mind. He felt that this was his calling. He made it 10 years before he was murdered in the line of duty. During this time, Kevin married and had 2 boys. At his death, he was divorced but had primary custody of his 2 boys, which were 7 and 8 years old. The night he was killed, I talked to him, begging him to stay home that night, because on Wednesday, before he was killed, Saturday morning, he was diagnosed with shingles. So I tried to get him to stay home. He said, "Mom, I can't. We're short-handed, and I'm not leaving them that way if I can go." So he went on to work. Since his death, his sons, now 10 and 11, suffer night terrors. I've got a picture where the youngest one, Lee, the first Christmas, went to sleep with Kevin's picture by his head. Myself, Your Honor, I've had to be put on anxiety meds. I'm depressed, so scared of losing my other child, or grandchild, or husband. I stay stressed, I can't concentrate. It has made my fibromyalgia a lot worse. My heart aches constantly for my son. I don't want to leave the house, which causes problems between me and my husband sometimes. Life will never be the same for our family again due to this senseless murder. I would like to ask the court that Marquis Flowers get life in prison with no possibility of parole due to the fact that he can still see his family, but we can never see or talk to our son again. My prayer is that Marquis Flowers will find Jesus before he dies. Thank you, Your Honor, for letting me speak today.
Thank you.
I'm James Darrell White, the father of James Kevin White. I appreciate the court allowing me to speak today. September 29th, 2018, when my son's life was taken, he left behind 2 little boys, 8 and 7. They could not then, nor can they now, understand why their daddy was killed. There's no good answers that I can give them. If their young minds comfort them. They will never experience a father-son relationship like I have with my son. I cannot even imagine how they feel or what they feel growing up without a father. He was their rock, their safe haven, and the one that was always there for them. But to really express how the loss of my son, their daddy, has affected them can only be understood when one of those little boys tell me, I miss my daddy. What words can I say that will truly describe how my son's death has affected me? His death has changed my life forever. He was not just my son. He was my best friend. When my son was killed for the first time in my life, I experienced hate. Hate. Hate for another person that took my son's life. And as a Christian, that hate has affected my entire soul. I battle with this hate every day. And I pray that one day I'll be able to let go of this crushing weight of hate. A little over a year ago, I wrote, I don't know whether you call it a poem or writing, but it was my heart. And I'd like to read this. It's called This Road. This road that I have been given to travel was not one that I would have chosen. Never did I imagine this road would even exist for me. Heartbreak, deception, betrayal, and the forever heartache of burying my son. This road I have seen others travel, with their shoulders slumped low, their heads barely looking up, the pain showing in their eyes, and the load so heavy that even a pebble causes them to fall. This road I now know all too well. Afraid to look anyone in the eye because they will see my pain, my sadness, my loneliness. I don't speak, but to just a few, because I fear losing control and drowning in my tears. There is little to no happiness now for me. Just an empty space in my heart that once was filled with love. This road is full of stones, holes, and deep crevices. In the words of those who say time heals, or you have to get over it, or you just got to move on. These people have no clue or idea of how those words hurt and cause me to stumble and fall, and then the journey begins all over again. This road will make the strongest weak and drain all the love and compassion from the one that once loved, cared, and had concern for others. Now all that remains is doubt, suspicion, and no trust in anyone. My heart and mind just continue to get hard and numb. This road is one you never want to travel, but this road is always near. This road has no exit. You will forever this road travel with many others, but this road has been given. Maybe the saying is right. Time heals all wounds, but the scars remain. Maybe time will heal my wounds in my life, but that scar will always be there to remind me of the hurt, the pain, the sadness of the murder of my son, James Piven White, September 18th, September 29th, 2018. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, sir.
If you allow me to speak today, my name is Walter Marshall Oak. I'm the father of Corporal Zach.
Could you speak just a little louder, please? Acoustics.
My name is Walter Marshall Oak. I'm the father of Corporal Zach. Okay.
That's fine.
I wasn't really prepared this morning. I didn't know the sentence would be given an impact before today. We have heard the last time we made it was given a tax statement. On an tax statement toward myself, words cannot describe the feelings and the hurt that I feel. The loneliness, everywhere I go, I see my son. And it reminds me. I know the White family, they're hurting, the sorrows they're going through too. I owe them an apology, because that morning that I received mine, I was told about what happened to my son by my sister and nephew. They, my heart broke. I just wasn't the same. I never will be again. They carried me to the hospital. And when I went through the door of the hospital into the ER, where my son was in the room, I could just feel the horror of what I saw. Laying there, I could see the blood on the floor and on the sheets. And there was nothing I could do. Nothing. His eyes were bulged out, and his jaws dropped. A man shouldn't have to ever see that. Never. Never. We were taken from the room and then brought back again. And it didn't matter.
I felt that he was gone. There's nothing I can do. The thing is, it's just in me. It'll never come out. And the way I hope it doesn't come out. I need closure, but I'm not getting it. The pain keeps me alive, if like for my son. He was not only my son, but my best friend. I don't dwell a lot. And Zach, when I needed someone or he wanted to come out, we always enjoyed each other. I enjoyed him so much. And you hear that the kids learn from the parents. So I tell you what, I learned more from Zach than I probably ever taught him. Okay. But like I said that morning at the hospital, we only knew of Zach. We had no idea there was another officer killed. And when we were carried outside, before we left, I seen them put my son in the body. Those images just don't go away. They haunt them there. And there's nothing I can do about it. Nothing. That's what Marquis has done for us. I hope in the future that there will be laws passed and people will change. But we all know that's not going to happen in the near future. There will be another officer following. And what do you do? We know that they may put that badge on for the last time. We talked about it. We never talked about it, did that? I can't get these papers open. I don't need the paper. I'm here to stand for my son. That morning, I have not seen the videos, I have not seen anything. But my son was a man. He stood like a man. We always told him you have to stand for what you believe in. He stood for law and order, justice. That was his life. The last day my son and I were together, we talked about this. And I asked him why he chose to be a police officer. He told me that there was a calling for him from God. And I asked him, are you sure? He said, yes, sir. And I told him, we just be careful. It's a dangerous job. You never know. Well, he told me I was watching too many videos of police work. And we laughed and carried on. And we went going to several places that day. And the whole time, it was one of the best days of my life. He kept asking, why are you looking at me? For some reason, I just looked at him. And he asked me the second time, and I told him, I said, son, you're living a dream. You've got the career you want. You got the books, you got the education, you have the training. It's up to you now. And it's like 12 days from his birthday. And he was killed, I believe, the next weekend. I never got to talk to him again after that. And he told me, he said, I love you, Daddy, and I love Mom, and brother. And he knew what he wanted in life. And from what I know that morning, his character really came out. Officer James was shot. He didn't know that. He knew he was down, from my understanding. I've never seen that. But yes, he come to a firefight to go save that man. I understand that he drug him. Just tried to drag him to safety at the same time shielding that man from this man's gunfire. That really says a lot. I cannot say enough about either man. They're what heroes are made of. And I'm a loss because of the way this is going on 3 years plus now. And we have not heard anything from Marquis Kaiser. No remorse, no incentive that the family, no anything. This man is nothing but pure evil, and as the Bible says, pure evil needs to be destroyed. I'm not a killer. I don't know one in here is, but he has voluntarily stated that he is the first killer I know. But in my opinion, Judge, that he should be sentenced to the maximum, whatever our laws of this great nation stands for. He has violated it multiple times, multiple times, been in and out of jail. But how can I say more? An impact statement is just not words, it's in here. And a lot of stuff just doesn't come out. There's no need to people to threaten this man in any manner, because what good would it do? I know the wife had talked to James, and now I've talked to Sank about it. If anything were ever to happen, no harm would come to this man. Because justice, these two officers stood for law, order, and justice. They made the ultimate sacrifice, both of them. They're heroes. And now I feel in my heart that it's time that this court stand up for these two officers. They made a sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice. They wasn't there to harm this man. They were there to try to help, protect, and serve. But we cannot let this crime just slide by. We have to set mandate sentences to ensure that it will at least cut down on what's happening. But this is brought a black cloud over this town, over this city and state, that a lot of people and friends that us and I know. And we thank all of them for all the prayers and guidance and the help we received from them. And the prayers that we keep going. And that's what my son would have wanted. I feel ashamed of it. But sometimes it just gets hard. It gets hard. The hardest thing I've ever had to do. Because I want to do something, but I know it's wrong, and I have not done anything wrong. And with him sitting there like he does, we have to see for the last 3 years, time and time again, we come to the courtroom. What can you say? If actions would bring my son back, we would have done it. We would have brought James back. But we know in our hearts he will not. I don't have much more. I'd like to thank the court for hearing me and hearing these family members. And know that we back the Blue, we back all law enforcement agencies. And they're getting shot out everywhere we look. If we don't back our men, who will? The legal system was there for a reason. They put their lives on the line every day. Please, we need to do something. If we have to change laws, whatever we need to do. Thank y'all for hearing me.
Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, I'm Vicki Moak, the mother of Zach Moak, been 32. As you can see, I'm not prepared, didn't write anything. So, but everybody knows that I'm a good talker, but it's hard when it comes to something like this. Zach came into this world premature at 3 pounds and 14 ounces and about 13 inches long. He fought then, and I said that after his death, I said he came into this world fighting to live, and he went out fighting. He was my baby. So, He was quiet, but in his quietness, there was strength. I've learned to find that. I found that out. He had a lot of strength. I remember school days, one of the days of him and Chris, they were 16 months apart. They were so close, and as long as we were in Welland Baptist Church and members, people could never tell them apart. They would walk up and talk to Zach and say, hey, Chris, and Chris the same way. They would call him Zach, and they finally just got to where they didn't correct people. They would just talk to them like they knew who they were talking to. They played together. They were close. They were best friends. And Zach, when he was in high school, he came to me and wanted to be, he said, I think I want to be a mechanic. And he went to trade school and went to work at the Ford place. And I always told Chris and Zach back years ago, I said, you know, what you choose, you could change at any time. But when he told me what he wanted to do was law enforcement, that really surprised me. And he held off telling me for a while because I think he thought I was going to talk him out of it. But the one thing I asked him, I said, is this truly where your heart is at? And he said, yes, it is, Mom. And I said, if this is where your heart is, and this is what you want to do, I said, I don't like it. I said, but I'll be your biggest supporter. I said, I'll be there for you. When he went into it thinking about getting that call, it was something that we as mothers or fathers, we don't think about that. You know, you put it in the back of your head and you say no. You know, you think about the little town of Brookhaven and you say no. I will never get that call. But when I got that call at 6:15 that morning, telling me that he'd been shot, my whole world changed. I have a wound in my heart that'll never heal. I think about him every day. And as everybody else says, I see him every day. I see him in the eyes of my granddaughter, who was young, but even now, when we're together, she'll say, they call me May May. She'll say, May May, I miss that. And I'm so thankful she was born before he died because he loved her. That was his heart. He loved his Avery. I think about the week before he passed away. I was privileged to see him 3 times that week, and that was very unusual. We would talk on the phone, and I missed those nights when he was at home. I wouldn't go to bed. I worked late, but I wouldn't go to bed until he was dressed, and he would stick his head around the corner, and he'd say, Mom, I'm leaving. And I'd say, I love you. And he'd say, I love you too. And he always knew I was praying for him. And then after he moved out, it was those 11:30 calls at night. Just a quick call to say, son, I'm thinking of you. And I love you. And he'd say, I love you too, Mama. And I'd say, you're going to have a rough night. And he'd say, I hope not. And I'd say, be safe. But he always knew Mama prayed for him. He always knew Mama prayed for him. He loved what he did. He took his badge serious. When Chief came where I worked and told me that he would have promoted him to corporal, and he looked at me and he said, your son's a leader. I didn't see it at that time because he was so quiet. He was so shy and reserved. But that's what law enforcement needs to. Those that can hold their temper, those that can be quiet in the moment, those that can do what and he showed it that morning, how he saw James go down and he didn't know James was dead, but how he fought and stood and he begged you to give that gun up, and all you had to do was show your hands. Show your hands. And we wouldn't be here with James was gone, and I would have hated that. But just that one word, show me your hands. And you still didn't have to pull that trigger, but you chose to. I am thankful for everybody who has been here today and been with us always through prayer. I have, experienced some forgetfulness and memory and this, that, and the other. Yes, I have. But I do all my talking to my Heavenly Father, and He has seen me through many a tearful night, many a bad days. I am thankful I have Him in my heart, and I'm thankful that I know where my son is, because I remember the day that he accepted Christ as his Savior, as my son Chris. So he is living life to the fullest, him and James together, and he's in a better place than we are right now. But I would ask I seek the maximum sentence, and as a 6-time felon, you chose your career. My son chose his, to protect and serve. And he did that morning. He went out to protect and to serve. And he knew his life would be on the line at any point in time. And he fought hard. I miss him every day. I love him. And I thank each of y'all for allowing me to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you're right. Mr. Flowers, you can stand, Mr. Franklin. Flowers, prior to sentencing, do you have anything you want to say to the court?
Your Honor, if you could have one moment, Mr. Rush.
I'm sorry.